Hello, this is Matt Dragon, and today we'll be taking a look at the Steelseries Stratus XL. Now, this controller is advertised to work both with Windows and Android. If you want a controller made by Steelseries that works with Apple, they do make one for that, but today we're looking at this particular one here. And it's advertised to work with the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, or the Gear VR. Basically, it's advertising itself. It's like, oh, this works really well with VR headsets. The reason I bought this is I needed something that was a little bit more robust than your standard Xbox One controller, because I seem to have a habit of somehow breaking the sticks on them. So let's take a quick look around the box here. It's in the design here of the usual Steelseries black and gray and orange. As you can see here with the picture with the controller on the front here and sort of a glossy material. Take a look on the side here. We have, again, another image here. This is basically, again, advertising the fact that it works with a bunch of Android and PC games. Then it discusses on the back here about the different features that you have with this particular controller. It works with Windows, works with Android, and it all works through Bluetooth. And now, of course, that'd be one thing that you would need for your PC is to make sure that it has a Bluetooth connection. For example, my PC did not have a Bluetooth connection, so I had to go out and buy a Bluetooth adapter for me to use this particular controller. And as it says here, it's basically describing how the build material, which I've actually taken this out of the box before. It is a nice build material, and we'll talk about that a little bit here when we open it up. And it says, just like the consoles, has the R3, L3 buttons. You can push down the sticks. It has a really long battery life, and this one only uses AA battery, so that's nice. Or you can use the rechargeable ones if you decide to want to go along those lines. And it has the ability to switch between these two different inputs, which I won't go into too much detail on as I don't quite understand it myself. But the point is that it's able to switch between being able to be used with Windows or Android. Again, we swap it around again to the side here. It's, again, just a little more decals. And we're back to the front again. And now let's open up this guy and take a look what comes inside. All right, so we pull the sleeve off, and it's sort of a plain box there. On the top there has, again, the SteelSeries logo embossed there on the top. And on the bottom has some specification details, some other writing about precautions and that sort of thing. So let's just jump right into the box here. And there we are. Controller itself. Now, as I said, I already took it out of the box once before. In fact, I've actually been using this controller for a while. It's actually a very nice build. I think it's a bit more solid than your typical Xbox controller from what I've felt, in my opinion. It has 2 sticks, much like the PS4. Oh, I actually just booted on there. As you can see here, it gives a little indicator there to tell you if you're connected or not. It has your usual A, B, X, Y buttons for the Xbox and a D-pad. On the back, there's your place to put your batteries. 2 AA batteries. And your on and off switch. Now, as I said, I am pretty pleased with the build quality. I'm going to focus in here a little bit. There we go. Pretty quiet button presses. It's not too loud. What I'll do here is I'll pull it up to the microphone here. Yeah, it barely even picks up on the microphone here. I really have to jam the buttons down for it to pick up. A lot of third-party controllers are pretty loud when you hit the shoulder button, so that's one nice thing. It's pretty quiet. Overall, the buttons are fairly nice. So that's the build quality itself. Now let's connect it up to the PC here and talk about some of the things that about hooking it up to your PC and sort of the process that you'd have to go through in installing it. The first thing you have to do before you can use the controller is to sync it up with your PC. And to do that, there's a little slot there for a micro USB connection. You can see that there right behind my thumb there. Focus in again. As you can see there, there's a micro USB connection. You have to connect that into the PC to be able to use the controller, because it needs to sync up with your computer through a wired connection first, and has to install some firmware so it's able to be used with the PC. With the your most of your Androids, I believe that update is not required. You don't need to hook it up manually. You can just hook it up automatically, turn the Bluetooth on, and you'll see it being a Bluetooth connection, and it'll come up in the options. Is that with this, since they've done some updates with Windows, this particular controller does not play well unless you have that update installed. So once you have that update installed, you can then just unconnect that, put the batteries back in, and then connect it like a usual Bluetooth device. So let's hook it up to the PC here. Let's play some racing games to show off how the how well it syncs up using it with the PC. Okay, and here we are at my desktop. I also have a screen up in the top left corner here showing what I'm doing with the controller, so you can see how it interacts with my button presses relate to what happens on the screen. So to get it connected after you connect it for the first time, you just simply hit the notch there to on, and if you give it a moment for the Bluetooth to realize what's going on, then it connects. Now, of course, you can check the Bluetooth here. We can see that it comes up as Steelseries Stratus XL. Now, a big important thing with this is you have to make when you first connect it, as I said, you have to connect it in the back there. And when first you install it, it's not going to tell you what it is. You have to first install the drivers. And to install the drivers, you need to first install Steelseries Engine 3. The most recent version. And as you can see here, it recognizes that it is connected. And when you first boot it up, it'll show update required before use or something along those lines. And you have to go through that procedure to install it, which is pretty straightforward. It pretty much walks you through the whole procedure. You just have to make sure that you have it connected first and have Steelseries installed. And a nice thing with this is that you can actually play with the settings a little bit with your controller. You can set your constraints, your dead zones, your sensitivity, and how far your trigger pull is. Now, you're supposed to be able to hit these buttons and it would light up on the screen saying, hey, you're pressing these buttons. But sadly, again, as I was saying before, with the Windows update, they removed some of the options with this, some of the interactivity between this controller and the lovely Windows PCs has been lost. But it still works, as I'm going to show here. We're just going to beat up. Yes, we're going to punch out BeamNG Drive here. So we're going to fire it up here. I'm going to show how well it works, and hopefully I'll be able to capture this on film. Is that sometimes there's a little bit of a quirk that happens with this controller that hasn't really ever happened to me with any of the other controllers that had the Xbox Ones, but of course those ones had the issue of the stick slowly drifting off the side, causing your car to swerve all over the place, which is very annoying. Okay, so we're in the game. Very quick load there. Now let's see if it'll happen here. Now usually when I first connect this and boot up the PC, after everything's ready to go for the first time, sometimes the buttons stick. As you can see here, the buttons aren't sticking. So this one particular time it's making a liar out of me. But usually if that happens, I find the best way to fix that is just to turn the controller off. Okay, wait for it disconnects, and reconnect it. There we go, now it's reconnected. And the game is reacting accordingly. I'm hitting left and right, and up and down, and left and right with the other sticks, and up and down. But of course, since that's a racing game, it doesn't do anything. Put it in gear here, and you can see here the car is reacting pretty well to my inputs. There we go, just get a little more oomph in the engine there. As you can see here, it's reacting pretty well to my button presses here, which I'm very pleased with. As I said, it doesn't drift or anything like that. I haven't played with any of the settings. As I said, when I was having those issues with the buttons getting stuck, it did take a few times for me to, a few restarts and everything like that to get it to work. And I did find that in the previous versions of Windows, I was having some issues of, again, those buttons sticking but to a greater degree that turning on and off the system wouldn't work. Now, which I think that's more of a problem with Windows than it is a problem with the controller, which also means that SteelSeries needs to get on the... Well, I mean, I like their stuff. I have a few headsets of theirs, which I'm very pleased with, but they definitely need to give their controller a little bit of love. Make sure that it's still interactive with versions of Windows. I know that they have other things to focus on, but I mean, the controller is very well built, and I just wish that they would back up their software a little bit more. But anyways, enough driving just in the lonesome. Let's put this in another game here. Let's put this over in Forza and see how this controller handles when having to race against other people. Okay, and here we are in Motorsport 7. As you can see here, I'm using the D-pad to maneuver my way through the menus here, or I can use the stick as well. Buttons here work as well. And on a little side note, I noticed that they have updated things. This looks a little different than the last time I've been here. You can see here, it's pretty reactive when I'm pressing through the settings here. So let's just hop into a quick race here and take a look at this and see how the controller handles a car in a more tense situation. Okay, and now we're finally at a racetrack, ready to race a car real quick here. I'll see if I can remember the controls here. That's part of the battle. Alright. Pretty smooth reaction there. As you can see here, it seems to be handling pretty well. Buttons react pretty instantly too, which is always a good sign. Also gives me excuse to show off this car that I unlocked. Wiggling and jumping and jiving all over the place here. Woo! Man, they're fighting each other pretty fierce up there. Whoa! Again, I think this controller seems to work pretty well here. Again, the car's not suffering from any sort of... Oof. As I was saying, doesn't suffer from any sort of issues of the stick slowly drifting off to the side. Instead, any sort of the button presses can be fixed by just restarting the controller. I'd say overall, this controller does a pretty good job giving you a very solid experience for playing racing games. And of course, you can use this controller for other games too, such as maybe a third-person adventure game, or as I probably would try doing in the future, is maybe like one of the old Splinter Cell games, is they're definitely built more for the controller experience than a mouse and keyboard experience. But I think this is enough of a demo here to showcase this controller off. So we'll just finish up this race and we'll finish up this video. And this is the unboxing and review of the Steelseries Stratus XL. As I said, I'm pretty pleased with this controller. As I said, I've been using it for a while, and it seems to be working pretty well for me. I like the build quality. It's a little bit of a different style, as if you are more of a fan of the PS4 controllers, I'd say that having the sticks here definitely cater to that crowd. But if you like the layout of the Xbox, you got your Xbox buttons there, and the D-pad feels pretty good too, and you have your usual Xbox triggers as well. Overall, I'd say it's definitely a good purchase if you can find it online. Just the only issue, as I said, sometimes the drivers get a little messed up, and as I said, you have to go through that procedure to get it started. But after you get that done, usually with maybe a restart or two, this thing works pretty well for the computer, for your PC. So I'd like to thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like it. And if you want to see more unboxing videos, I plan to do some more of these in the future. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.